Welcome to Relationship Bites with Wendy Ologe podcast. Relationship Bite is a platform for everything relationship. Mother-child relationship, father-daughter, siblings, sister-in-laws, parents-in-laws, everything you need to know about relationship. It is said that one of the most important needs of human is belonging. It simply means that relationship is as important as being human. I will be taking you on a journey of everything relationship. Join me, Wendy Ologe, every fortnight as we explore the intricacies of different forms of relationship, the positives, the negatives, the wins, the losses, the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything else in between. And most importantly, the lessons we will learn from them. Relationship Bite with Wendy Ologe is your plug for real life experiences on diverse relationships and how we can maximize these relationships for the best. Alrighty, so welcome to Relationship Bite with Wendy Ologe, and yes, I am your host today. I have in the building some other people, but wait. Today we're talking about the hidden connection between childhood experiences and school success. And we're going to be drilling deep down into this. But the interesting thing about this podcast today is that it's not going to be about me. I'm not coming to teach. I have brought you real life experiences, and where we have in the room other amazing colleagues of mine that are going to be sharing with me how this is going to go. There's a lot of story about connection between childhood experiences and how you succeeded in school and all of that. So yesterday I had a conversation with some of them, and the stories I heard were a bit hilarious. So I have in the room Ife Sinachi, and I have Precious, and I have Tope. So Ife Sinachi, we're here in the room. Yes, so tell us a bit, how did growing up, your childhood experience, how you were treated in the house versus how you performed in school? Did it have any effect? Was there anything that happened in those times?
All right. My name is Ife Sinachi. So in my case, I had harsh discipline, and it was quite hard for me to connect on the aspect of academic. So I had my sister. I remember when I was always at home from my holidays. My sister always wanted to teach me mathematics, and her teaching method wasn't always working for me. She was, this person that she came tops of her class, Okigwe College School. She wrote the exam, she made her classes, she joined, and my mom have always used her as role model. She's the one always tutoring us and all that. So I remember a day when she was teaching me mathematics, and I wasn't quite understanding it, and she kept beating me and hitting me and knocking me, and it became frustrating for me, and I ran away. I ran into the room, and I was done with learning that day, and I said I was not going to learn again. And I've made up my mind for what is coming next, because my mom had never tolerated us saying no to learning. Plus my sister is this person that she's always doing good academically, so she's this one that is always trying to bring us up, teach us and all that, tutor us in the house and all that. So when I ran into my room and I shut the door and I was crying, I was so bitter. I was surprised how my mom reacted to it. I expected my mom to behave, even come up the worst. But my mom came into my room. In fact, I was surprised, honestly. She came into my room, and then she sat beside me and she patted me and she apologized on behalf of my sister. And she promised me she was going to be teaching me herself, and she did. And ever since she has been teaching me, not only did I learn mathematics so well, I've learned that learning don't have to be painful. It has to be patient. And my mom have always made me, I think that day she understand my learning style, that it doesn't have to be harsh, it doesn't have to be beaten. She explained calmly from then, and she made me understand that you have to be patient with people when you are trying to teach them, and that helped me academically. I wasn't doing well with mathematics in school, and I follow my mother process on how she teaches me, and that brought me a lot of I did well in school from then.
Hi, are your children struggling with their grades? Do homework sessions often end in frustration? It might not even be about the subject, but the style. Every child learns differently. Some are visual, others are auditory, and some are even hands-on learners. Now, imagine the breakthrough you could achieve just by understanding your child's unique learning style. That is why at the Intentional Parent Academy, we created a course titled Understanding Your Child's Learning Style. In this course, you learn how to identify your child's learning style and practical strategies to support them effectively. Say goodbye to the struggle and hello to easier learning for your children. Don't wait. Registration starts next month. And when it does, hurry and register to empower your children learn better. Bye.
Amazing. You know how we actually have a lot of conversations around this stuff when it comes to conversations on academics and all of the things that need to be shared on that. So you know that many times people don't really understand how much what is happening at home can affect you in school. I had a conversation with Tope and Precious, and we're talking about being able to write with your right hand. I think that's where we even started that conversation yesterday. And Tope said something very profound to me, and he said, they beat me until I changed my left to my right. And then Precious now mentioned the same thing. And particularly, I was surprised for Precious. Precious, your dad is a lecturer. So I was a bit, taken aback, like, okay, he should have actually known better. Yeah. But I think that there's, more to the things that we should know and all of that, and our parents should have known. I think culture took a front seat more than, this thing should actually do. But I want to ask, did this affect you in school, and how did it? Precious, over to you.
Okay, so while growing up, I used to be left-handed, and for me, it was normal. But my parents had an issue with it. In fact, they were praying about it. They were saying, oh, this girl, she has to be right. It was actually a prayer point, and it was a serious thing. So for me, being like a child, I didn't see it as anything. I just felt like, okay, my parents want me to be right-handed. Okay, that's fine. I don't have a problem with it. So I think how that affected me was that I wasn't able to, express myself. I wasn't able to speak up for myself. It affected me later on because my parents wanted me to do this. I was always doing it. So somehow, whenever people wanted me to do things their way, I didn't even fight it. I would just say, okay, it's fine. And it affected my self-esteem and it affected my learning too. So that was the effect it had on me. That's me and my parents forcing me to be right-handed instead of me being left-handed. But sometimes I still write with my left hand.
Oh, wow.
Yes, I still write with my left hand.
Till now?
Yes.
That's interesting. Yes.
All right. Okay. That's a very amazing story. Sincerely speaking, this is a very great flashback for me. So all I could recall and I could say about my parents, the way they parented me then that affected my education was that, I grew up in in a story building whereby we have all our church members. I've been a church boy right from birth. All our church members from the first floor, second floor to the third floor. So my parents parent from the aspect of copy and paste. So if they see any child that is doing well, they believe, okay, whatever it is that child is doing, their child can also do it and be better. So there is this boy called Pamileri. He's a child of my pastor. So Pamileri writes with right hand, and his writing is fine. It's not that my writing is bad, but as at that time I play a lot, and not doing well in school. They believe it's just because we play too much. So my mom now said it's because I'm writing with left hand. Who writes with left hand? That's how they panel beat everything human about me. Oh my God, I still recall there was a time she had to put me behind her legs, slap me, like, you write with, it was very a bad experience. Like, I can still recall those slappings and everything. But my dad will always say, hey, leave him now, is it a crime? I said, no, it's bad. Not until one fateful day, that was October 28, 2006. I had fraction.
Remember the date?
Yeah, I keep date a lot. So I ran away from church and I broke my hand for the first time, because I broke my hand twice. I broke my hand for the first time and we got to the hospital. And the doctor that was to attend to me was writing with left. That was when my mom looked at me. I said, I'm sorry. I did not even understand at that moment. Someone who is in pain, I'm feeling this left hand. So it was when POP was in my hand. She was not telling me that she saw a doctor writing with left hand. Well, people have said, since they beat me and my hand changed to left and the likes of things like that, that it will affect me academically. But I don't know up to now. It has never affected me because I've always come top in my class while I was in primary school. That even gave me confidence when I got to secondary school that I now school in school too. So I don't usually attend class because a minute to exam, I'll just carry my book and everything will stink, and that's how we roll.
Okay, I particularly like this part where Tobe, spoke the last part where he said he doesn't think that it affected him in school. But I'm here to announce to you that it affected you in other aspects of your life. So when you force a child, a left hand, to switch using their right, they call it hand conversion or forced literality, right? And it means that there are several effects. Some of them are short term, some of them are long term. Effects like cognitive and neurological effects. While you were speaking, now I now understand. One of the first things that Tobe, I've worked with Tobe for a while. One of the first things that I told Tobe is you need to speak with clarity. So it looks like, okay, so this thing didn't do anything to me, but when you dig deeper, you find where some of it actually really stopped you. Now the brain is confused when you change left from right. So the brain is naturally wired for a dominant hand. Your dominant hand is left. So when you force that switch, a neural pathway is disrupted. It leads to coordination and cognitive difficulties. So you can pass exams, yes, they are different conversation altogether. All right. So it leads to slower processing. So the left and the right hemisphere of the brain specializes in different tasks. So if a child is naturally left-handed, when you force that switch, it will slow tasks. It requires motor coordination and control. So there's a potential stuttering and speech issues. So you can see where your own problem came from. So there's a link between forced switching of hand and speech difficulties, like stuttering, possibly because of the neurological wiring that happened. So you just speak, and sometimes you don't really know what's happening to you. Some people, it comes as a way of academic and learning challenges. Precious was speaking. Precious didn't do badly in school, but she had self-esteem issues, which is an effect of that. Of course, which now eventually affected what it is that she should have done. Some children will have writing difficulties. Some children will have reduced fine motor. Like when you want to cut scissors, tie shoelaces, they find it very difficult. Some children will struggle with concentration. They are not able to just focus because the brain will need extra control. Now, does it mean that the brain cannot rewire to learn it eventually? It can. It just gives you more work at the end of the day. So, and then there's also the emotional and psychological aspect, which is what happened to Precious. The emotional and psychological aspect increased anxiety and frustration, low self-esteem, because you're constantly corrected using that natural hand. They may internalize the idea that something is wrong with them. So apparently, what happened to Precious was that she just felt, okay, something is wrong with me. And then you heard her, she said something very interesting. She said, when people tell me to do something, I don't mind doing it because it's just fine. And then there's also the feeling of a rebellion. It can also go as far as potential long-term effects like brain fatigue, creativity issues, expression issues. Of course, that's long-term effect. Some people have asked me that is it necessary to switch hands in case of, if something happens and all of that, you need to adapt. Yeah, some cultures still pressure children to switch hands. I think that in our culture, it's still a thing. Even with all the awareness, yes, it is still a problem. So when you force children to switch hands, it's not recommended. All right. So if you are listening to me today and you're thinking of switching your child's hand from left to right, please don't do it. At least you have living examples right with us. But let me ask a question. Do you think that? Tobe, let me ask you. Did you have conflicts in the home growing up? Was the home chaotic? Do you think that the conflict at home will affect a child's concentration in school or behavior in school? So for instance, the home is always chaotic, everybody's always shouting, exposure to frequent argument, tension, beating. Does it affect the children in school? Does a peaceful environment help a child to be able to become better in school?
All right, so I will share from the place of experience. My mom is a person that beats very well. She's very good. While my dad beats once in a year. So my dad beats once in a year. It's a ceremony, and once that ceremony comes, throughout that year, you not have any encounter with him again, cause that's like a dose. That day, that child will be begging for death, cause the way the experience is so long. If my brother is listening to this, he will remember.
Wow.
So the way they beat my brother, the way they beat me, has so much fashioned me to be a calm and gentle person. So I pretend, it developed this kind of pretense in me that even when you look at me, you imagine things I am capable of doing. So if my parents are listening to this now, it will shock them that child who they enrolled into secondary school did not even enter class till my last year in the secondary school. I was not in the class all through. I stay in the bush, even when it got to a day, there was this school authority, they were raiding the bush and they saw me. They're like, what are you doing? Where are you? Be going. They had to segregate that I'm not part of those that can be there, whereas I'm the ringleader. So all of my friends were like, he's there, he's one of us. I said, no, I don't know them. No. They said, he's too gentle to be among you people. And this church look, everything. And my parents did not know at home. The day I told my dad that I'm done with secondary school, he said, what's that? Like, from when that? So, what has happened at home has led to a kind of shaped person. And I will say it this way. Due to the fact that many of us will experience it, due to the fact that I am beaten very well at home, there is no teacher in that school that can beat me, that can hurt me. Because my body has developed that immune system to accommodate any form of brutality. So it has made me see any form of crime in school as fun.
Wow.
No matter what it is you say the consequence is, I'm ready. Because you can't beat me. There was a teacher then, Mr. Adesheni. I still remember his name when I was in SS2. He said I did not write notes, and they called me Toothpick then. That was my nickname in school then. So this fateful day, he came to class, start beating everybody. And this secondary school, they come with very heavy stroke of canes. They come, those sticks. So he beat everybody, he was beating everybody, and it got to my turn. On the spot I was standing, he was beating me and he was sweating. I was not moving, I was not doing anything. Someone who has been beating people and they are crying. It got to my turn, he was beating me and I was not moving. He had to throw away the cane and started using punch on me. The things get so fierce that they had to report me to the school authority that I'm so rude. I said, rude as how? You are beating me. Fine. Is it a compulsory thing for me to cry? I'm not crying and it's paining you. That was exactly what I was saying. He said I should invite my parents to school. I was unable to invite them because they trusted me that such cannot happen. Even up to now, some things you'd say, Tope did do, my mom will deny. But thanks to God, all I just have to say is that
the Lord that saved you.
That saved me. It was really a tough journey. It remains small for me to start smoking and doing all the kind of things. But thanks to God that my parents, though they parented from the aspect of not knowing anything, but they were able to pass some information. If you smoke, you end up bad. So those little information went a long way for me. So what I feel is that the home really tells how you perform in the school as well, because the way they treated me at home gave me that leverage that okay, nobody can hurt me outside that we be to take that extent anymore. Because I've seen my parents use, I don't know if you know saw blade. I don't know, they use it to cut iron. Yes, they have used it to beat my brother before. Not beat, cut. He did not steal anything.
To cut him.
Yeah, he did not steal anything just because. It was very terrible growing up. I swear to God, it was so terrible. Those days now, when they call me, my dad is not the person that is always at something like that. So one of these days that they called me, how are you doing there? Said I was listening to my coach class this morning and I remember some things you did and is it not that you turned out okay? He said, I turned out okay like this. So the home is very important. That's my contribution.
Wow, that was so profound. Sometimes we actually, oh wow, this is actually interesting. Okay, Nachi, talk to us. How do you think, what are the roles that parents, the pressure, the criticisms that they give to children, how does it affect them in school? Do you think there's any effect? Do you think that coming from the home where there's always criticism, people are always talking down at you, does it affect you in school? Do you think, and what do you think that parents should also do better?
All right, so in my case, when I was growing up, they used to call me a talkative in the house because I was always talking. I talk, I say anything I see, I pronounce it, I speak, I just talk. And my father does not like it. My father says I make noise too much. Why am I so loud in the house? Why am I so talking? From when I was a baby, my mom used to tell me that when I see a drawing in the house, I would say, tata, 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 I'll keep playing with things. And from there, I was always talking. And because my father had a problem with me always speaking out, always talking, why must you always say it? Why is your mouth scratching you? Why did you say it and all that? I became quiet. That my junior ones bullies me, like they beat me like blue black, and I can't speak up for myself. I can't step up for myself. Even that affected me when I was in school because of how cold I became. I wasn't like that when I was growing up. My mom know it. My mom was always the person that is always saving me most times. My father wasn't like that. She knows I wasn't like that. So what happened? Why did I take that turn to becoming a very cold, quiet person that people can just push me over and people can just step up on me? Till the time that they had to send me to boarding school. In the boarding house, I was always bullied. My housemate poured urine. She used urine. She kept urine on by the side of my bunk, and then I was passing. I didn't know she kept I mistakenly hit the bucket and then the urine poured. She told me that I must mob it. Jesus Christ! I was like, I should Obila Amarachi is her name. She not say because then in school I was always known by my English name, that is Roots. She not say, Roots, you will mob that urine. Why did you kick it? She's always riding on me and all that. Even I used to have charcoal iron. It's not like we used to use it, but in the senior classes most time they light it and we use it to iron. There are times when we used to clean iron. It is my property. She will use it. She will use my iron and then they will leave dust for me. They're like a gang. I cannot fight 5 of them. I'm the cold person. I'm their pushover. Even seniors push me around, fetch water for them, go to refectory. Sometimes I hide at the corner of I will be crying because I cannot get food for myself. Senior have sent me to get for them. Before it will get to my turn, phone has already. I can't speak out. I was hiding. I kept hiding. I became cold. Until on that fateful day about that urine, I told her, Obila Amarachi, quietly, and I was not loud. Even till now, if somebody yells at me, like there is something it does to me, like it disorganizes me. If I want to communicate with you, if you want to get the best part of me, allow me to speak calmly and you will hear me out. If I'm rushing, you won't hear me, you won't understand me. I told her, I told Obila Amarachi, look, if you don't mop that urine, then I will show you now mono bowl. I will kill you today. She saw me, she didn't believe that was me. Because I was ready to devour her that day. And then she noticed I was angry. She went to clean it. And from then I decided, I made it up. I slept that night and I decided, if it's not, you will no longer be quiet. You will no longer be calm. You will speak out when you're supposed. Even till today, I feel like sometimes in a way it affects me. When I see things I'm supposed to pick out, I don't know what they call it, maybe criticism or advice, or I will just keep quiet and I say no, nothing. Just so they will not ask me, why did you say it? Each time, like, my father's voice keep ringing in my head. Why did you say it? Why did you say it? In school I was just that person that even our chemistry master, because that was our sanitary master in school, when my colleagues, everybody was coming to take up acting prefect, I didn't come, I was hiding. But though even as I was hiding, that man saw my skills, he saw how intelligent I was, and he was able to pick me out. No, you will be our sanitary prefect. No, you, Ife Snatchy, I'm asking you questions, stand up and I will answer. But why am I even scared of standing up to answer? Because I've always thought that, why will you say it? Why do you have to say everything? On your blame, is everything that you see, you will talk. And my siblings, my elder brother, because I have like elder siblings at home, they have learnt that thing from my father. I don't know how they adopted it. Even as I have grown till today now that I'm now an adult, I still try to make them understand that there is something they need to unlearn and relearn. There is something they need to hear from. Even till today in the family, when they are doing meeting, I'm always the one standing up now to speak loud. And my father now is loving me. Even last December, seriously, that my father was telling me, why are you speaking now? And my brother's learnt it. Anytime I say something, my brother will do something wrong, and I will say, bro Emeka, this thing you did. And I say, why did you talk to me? I'm your elder brother. Why would you correct me? Why did you have to say it? Why are you opening your mouth to say it? Why must you speak? They learned that thing from my father. Everybody kept suppressing me in the house. I don't have to say anything. You don't have to close your mouth. Even if you're right, even if you know what to, just zip up your. And when during this our last Christmas, we had a meeting. My father watched me. I wasn't that bold. But when I decided I'm going to start speaking for nobody, they don't send your papa and your mama. Nobody dare intimidate me on the road. I don't care where you are coming from. You cannot intimidate me till now. But most times I still feel like there are things when I want to say, and I say, no, let me just, why will you say it? Must you say everything? I will just keep quiet and say, no, let me not say everything. Because that affected me from home. I think parents should learn how to encourage their children to always speak up and stand up for themselves, because that affected both my self-esteem, my confidence. See, people were bullying me up and down. But when I learned that it shouldn't be like that, I had to step up for myself. Yes, that's my own part.
Oh, wow. You know, sometimes you actually do not know how much, you know, I had once said that when it comes to bullying, that a child that has self-confidence won't be bullied, no matter how much bullying happens in that environment. So someone asked me one time when the twins had gone to boarding house, year one, they came back. So they saw my son and say, how you feeling? No boarding house, they bully people a lot. I hope they've not bullied you. How, I know, and all of that. My son said, bully me. Nobody can bully me. You know, I had a good laugh. And it's all coming from, I think that parents, first of all, bully their children. And then they now end up complaining that people are bullying them. Because when you bully a child, you shut the child down. And the child is actually mostly not able to stand up for themselves. All right, so Precious, share with us. Do you think that all those kind of discipline that they did in the house, you know, people say, oh, this thing helped you, you know, helped you learn and all of that. Could that have been another way? Did it help you learn? Do you think that if they have handled it in another way, it could have made you better? Or which, you know, and vice versa? And what would be your advice?
Okay, so for me, when I was growing up, my mom, she used to be, in fact, she had this cane that had 3 mouths. They used to call it three children or something like that. She would beat us, me and my sibling. She would beat us to the point that there was a point that my sister and I, we started asking ourselves, are you sure this is our mom? Are you sure she's our real mom? Because she kept on beating us and beating us and beating us and all of that. And we took everything in. We just kept quiet. As I said earlier, in fact, my low self-esteem back then was just stemmed from all of those things. And Later on, while I went to secondary school, I went to the first one and I was moved to the second school because of distance and all of that. When I went to the secondary school, my own mates were bullying me because they were prefects. They were bullying me and they were, beating us and punishing us, and I will cry.
And they were your mates?
They were my mates.
Oh, wow.
Because they were prefects, they had higher, hand and all of that, and they had the power to do whatever they wanted to do. And that really affected me. It affected me, and I was really pained. I will cry very, very well, because I was like, what is all of this? I couldn't fight for myself. I felt like, let me just avoid trouble. Let me just, whatever they say, let me just do. I don't want any trouble and all of that. And I feel like that is a very wrong approach. You don't have to beat children, because when you beat them, there's something it does to them. It affects them negatively. There's something it does to them. It affects them negatively. And most parents should learn that discipline doesn't have to be beating. You don't have to beat your child before the child learns. You can acquire skills. You can, just like the Intentional Parent Academy, I just wish my parents were able to learn these things earlier, because even up to now they still have it in them. They feel like we don't have to go to any school, we can just learn it. But really, you should know that now. Yes, but really they have to understand that you have to be schooled about things like this. So my advice to parents out there, if you don't know it, you don't know it. You have to seek knowledge in order for you to know how to be able to parent and be a guru in the parenting field. So that's it for me.
Thank you so much. It's interesting how we now have, us now, learning and trying to now, look at things differently. I think that there's also the place of parenting ego, that comes with it. I'm the one, why are you talking? I'm the one talking, you keep quiet and all of that. Trying to actually just intimidate children, not to, talk. Interestingly, I had an opposite, all right, of it. That's why when people are fidgeting, I'm like, why are you fidgeting? You should stand up and talk. So I particularly have a problem with people fidgeting and getting afraid. And what are you afraid of exactly? Because I grew up with a dad who insisted that you looked at him when he was talking, who insisted that you argued. My dad would finish and say, you don't have anything to, you must have, as in, he annoyed him when you don't have anything to say. So it became quite, I think it helped us to be able to understand that, okay, I can stand up and say this is what I think. My dad is stubborn, and I think his children are also stubborn. So we had a lot of butting of heads. I give an interesting conversation, an interesting story that happened. My dad had an issue with one of his sisters. We were very close to my aunt and my cousins. We were actually very close. In fact, that should be one of my closest cousins today, all right, till tomorrow. We were very close. They'll come to our house, we sleep to, So they had one issue, and daddy came back and said that he thinks that my auntie and the children should not be coming to the house in the meantime. Everybody stood up and said, why? My father was like, is it that we cannot understand what it is that she's saying? She's saying that people, this, that, onto the tissue that. I said, well, you have an issue with your sister. We really don't care. It's your sister, B. So go and sort it with your sister now. My dad said, okay, since this is how it is, let us sit down, that we should give him reason why we're saying so. We were teenagers, we were old. And then, we atomized and said, Daddy, this is just you being emotional about it. We didn't have any issue with our cousins. We didn't have any issue with our auntie. So why do you want us to carry your own, this thing and be running with you? Which is what most of our parents actually did with us. Yes. I'm not talking to this brother. You too, don't talk to this brother. So I think that taught my dad a lesson. My dad have, siblings that they've had issue over and over. And I would take pictures with my uncle, and my dad would say, where did you see him? I know that kind of thing. Because I think that conversation, he began to realize that, okay, my life and the life of my children is actually quite opposite. So that conversation ended up with him agreeing that our relationship with our cousins has nothing to do with their own relationship. Eventually, Daddy and the sister made peace, and the sister started still coming to the house. So how would I have made peace with my auntie?
and my cousins, which is my point. Because what would I say at that point? So I will now come back and say that because of what happened so and so time, I was not able to, talk. So how do I now rebuild that relationship with them? So I particularly think that I think it was a turning point for my father. So I particularly think that, at that point, my father began to learn that these things, children are growing. I think one thing that parents don't realize is that children grow. Okay? And I think that those conversations with my dad built our self-esteem. We were able to look at an adult and actually say, this thing you said is not right. And Daddy allowed us to be able to do that. Not without plenty of fight. Of course, there were plenty of fight on it. But I think that was one of the best gifts that I got from my dad. Being able to look at him and say, Dad, it's not going to work. So till tomorrow, my parents are very okay hearing no from us. So we can say no to our parents. My mom, my dad, mommy, no, you can't. It's not okay. So I particularly think, and that gave me a lot of confidence in school. So in school, I walk like the world belonged to me. Like, how do you want to below me? Like, how? And the interesting thing, I was the smallest in my class. I was the youngest, I was the smallest. I was like this. Like, my dad used to call me 4x5. I'd be 4x6. I'd be with my friends. All of us were tiny like that. I was pretty, really small. So, but I was one of the most powerful people in my school. Like, we called my name, you stand. We had power, this kind of power, small but mighty. Those people that they call small but mighty, I was one of them. But that's where you understand that the self-esteem, whatever it is that happens in school, really gives you an advantage. Even though I was young, even though I should have had a negative being young in school, but I was very, 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 confident. So it's a big deal. And anytime that I think about it, I know that parents, everything that parents do affect the child. Sometimes, even Nachi said something, she said, even today, when I think about it, I still hear my father's voice saying, you talk too much. You have to. So you see how those things are going. And then you see that you've now killed the part of you that should have come out a long time ago, just because you needed to please, someone through it. So I was reading somewhere, can a child's self-esteem shape at home affect their success in class? And the answer is yes. Because high self-esteem encourages you to take risk, encourages you to be persistent, to be engaging, and then low self-esteem will lead to failure, reluctance to practice, and all of that, or even participate. So we must be able to encourage our children, build them at home, so that whatever it is that they experience is not going to be a negative to them. As we begin to round up, this has been an interesting conversation, and we're going to be talking about how do we now manage, are there ways to minimize the negative experiences on past learning, like the negative experiences that already happened. What are you doing now to be able to help you to be able to relearn all of those things that have happened to you? First, Nachi.
Okay, so growing up, everything that happened in my home, everything that experienced, these are part of the these are the ones I've been able to point out for now. There are many of them I did not point out, I did not speak of. So growing up, I've come to realize that now, that thing my father did to me, I did not like it. That thing my brothers did to me, I did not like it. That way they treated me in school, I did not like it. I made a decision to get better. I started reading. I read books. I read Chimamanda's books. I read so many books. I watch pet talks on YouTube. I've been able to tell myself, no, you will not continue this way. I will not become like my father. I will not tell my children to shut up. You are talking to mom. Must you say it? Can your mouth not keep quiet? Why is this scratching you? Why is it this? Because I mean, that affected me so bad. There are things I see that are right. There are things I see I'm supposed to do, I'm supposed to say. I won't say it. Another person, I will be sitting there keeping quiet, acting like I'm so naive, another person will stand up and say it. Sometimes I feel like, why are these people thinking I'm not? Why are these people thinking I'm not like that? But why am I? It's because I'm showing them that I'm like that. So I decided that I was going to learn. I was going to read. I started exploring. I started, traveling, seeing things better, doing things better. And that sometimes till now I feel like I know how to handle things better, but sometimes unnecessary fear and pressure will just come up. And if I try to reflect why I did that, I was like, why did I even do that? Come on, that's not me. I can't do that in a normal norm. Why did I even act like I cannot handle that? I cannot do it? Because that's because I was scared, okay? Because that person was making me uncomfortable. Why would that person even make me? That's a human being to start with. Because I've known that let me say I've come in some places where I've been able to handle some things that I didn't believe I would handle people, like put them in their place, put people and say, no, you can't treat me like trash. And so why would that person make me uncomfortable all of a sudden? And then I then realized that it's just something that is within. It's just something that has been there. I really need to start to, unlearn, start to make progress on my growth, understand what I want for myself, learning who is me, discovering myself and pushing for that. And say, okay, there was something that happened recently. I was telling Nonya about something. I said, but Nonya, this, I can't keep quiet in something like that. I say, Ife, because that's how my colleague Nonya fondly commissioned. I say, Ife, Nonya, I say, Ife, that's who you are. I've come to know that that's who you are. And when she said that, it sent a signal to my life. Oh, I'm actually somebody who is vocal and bold. So why am I always trying to hide most times when some people have actually noticed that this is who I am in quotes? And then I decide to learn who truly I am and do better with myself. I think learning and grow and reading can really do a lot in terms of unlearning what you went through in your childhood days. Yes, thank you, ma.
Awesome. Give to Precious. Let's Precious share with us.
Okay, so one thing I was able to adopt is unlearning and relearning. I was able to read articles, read books, listen to videos, and also change my mindset too. So while I was growing up, I now realized and I noticed that, okay, this is a problem. I was having low self-esteem. That was my major issue while growing up, that low self-esteem. So when I noticed it in university, I didn't make friends. I was always, behind, always in my shell, always hiding. And then I made a conscious effort and I told myself, I said, enough is enough. I have to be out there. I have to put myself out there. I have to do the right thing. So, and I was always at home. I've always been at home, always in my house. Even in the university, I was going from home. So I wasn't even able to interact with people. So when I was now going to the, when I was moving to Abuja and I was starting my service, I told myself, I said, this is a ground where you're going to use to learn and, unlearn all those things. So I started meeting people. I started making conscious effort to interact. I started putting myself out there. And it really helped me a lot because I started to do things that I never even imagined I could do. Now, when I look at myself and some things that I've done, some things that I've achieved, I'm still on my journey of becoming. But when I look at myself, I'm just like, okay, there's improvement, and I'm really glad about that. So I think what we really need to do is to unlearn all those negativity and relearn them and relearn new things that can help us to be better versions of ourselves.
Amazing. Talk back.
All right. Okay. So from my own perspective, I would say you only identify a problem from the place of knowledge. What if you don't know it's something bad? So the key thing I want anybody in my shoe or facing the same challenges or pass through the same thing to just do is that make sure you find yourself in a circle of knowledgeable people. The improvement is slow to my case, but thank God for people around me. There was a time whereby my church is close to my house, so you always find me in church. For any form of program, cleaning, anything the child need anybody for in church, once they just call Joshua, because my second name is Joshua, I will appear. Even if I'm doing something more critical to my life, I will appear. So that day, my pastor had to call me, said, once you answer every call, you lose value. Once you answer every call, you lose value, because people will not regard you as someone of importance again. Just call him now, he'll be here. He doesn't have anything serious doing with his life.
Exactly.
I thought that word was so... I felt bad. So I went back home. I was like, is it not good to work for God? Yeah, no. You are not working for God. You are working in vain. So that was when I sat down and I began to... Another thing I want to just share is that anyone find himself in that should always embrace criticism. One thing I've developed so well in my life is that whenever you say, Tope, your head is not correct, I will not respond. I'll go and think about it. Why did you say that? And it's very important, because there was a time I checked, we were moving from our old house to a new house, and I had to pack my primary school books, and I saw my handwriting then. It's so nice, and I was like, how can I do to just return this thing back to, because my writing in school, that's one of the reasons why I don't stay in class, because teachers will never see my writing.
Your writing was before they changed your left hand.
Yes, I was writing with left before they changed to right.
That's why your writing became bad.
Yes, exactly.
Yes, that was one of the
exactly. So that was the reason why I don't stay in class, because teacher will see my note and say, who is this hen that just wrote anyhow? So I feel embarrassed. So that's what stopped me from going to class and just staying somewhere else, so that nobody will abuse me. So another thing, the two things I will just emphasize on is your circle and be open to criticism. Build that in your mindset that you want to grow. You have identified is a problem, then look for ways to solve it so that you not repeat the same mistake. Thank you.
Amazing. You know, it's at this last point that Tobe realized that he actually had an effect with the change of hand. Actually, your writing is a big deal when you change from left to right. But it's been an amazing conversation with the amazing Tobe and Precious and Ifesinachi. I particularly enjoyed the conversation. I'm sure that you did also. And of course, it is where we begin to come to the end of this conversation. Remember that what we spoke about was the relationship between hidden connection between your childhood experiences and your school success and all of the things that happen to you, which is why at the Intentional Parent Academy we actually talk about learning. All right, one of the things I've realized is that when you don't understand how a child learns, the child is not going to do well in school, and it has been a big deal for many of us. And what are the things that is happening in your home? Is it something that you would need to actually begin to look out for? Are there ways that you can begin to look at this negative past experiences effect and work on it? Are there also ways you can recreate what it is that is happening in your home today? There are. That's why there is the Intentional Parent Academy. Precious said earlier that she wishes that her father actually saw a place like this. And let me tell you, I wish my dad saw the Intentional Parent Academy myself. He even says it. Because my dad is one of the people that I know that is emotionally immature. Oh, let's not talk about it. The next time I will tell you about my father and his inability to manage his emotions. Till today, it's still a struggle and we're still working on it. But it's been an amazing time with you all. And in one word, Ifesinachi, what will you say to the audience? Speak to the mic.
Parents, be intentional. Join the Intentional Parent Academy.
Okay, so one thing I would tell people out there is always seek for knowledge. Always seek for knowledge. Don't run away from knowledge.
Okay, the thing is that, everything is learned in life. If for you to navigate life the right way, everything is learned. So seek knowledge, find knowledge, and improve in everything you are doing. Thank you.
Awesome. I'm going to go this way. Be intentional, seek knowledge. And Tobe has said something very profound. Surround yourself with the right people. Because if you don't know it, how will you know that you don't know it? Because I'm sure that before now, most of us, we think that these things they did to us, they did it so that we can be okay, right? But there's always a better way. Thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Wendy Uloge, and I am the founder of the Intentional Parent Academy. I'm called Africa's #1 parent coach. This is the Relationship Bite with Wendy Uloge. Thank you.
Hi, are your children struggling with their grades? Do homework sessions often end in frustration? It might not even be about the subject, but the style. Every child learns differently. Some are visual, others are auditory, and some are even hands-on learners. Now, imagine the breakthrough you could achieve just by understanding your child's unique learning style. That is why at the Intentional Parent Academy, we created a course titled Understanding Your Child's Learning Style. In this course, you learn how to identify your child's learning style and practical strategies to support them effectively. Say goodbye to the struggle and hello to easier learning for your children. Don't wait. Registration starts next month. And when it does, hurry and register to empower your children learn better. Bye.